Saturday night's main event. What did you see?
I saw the really good tag team match. Between Cody and Punk versus Gunther and Sammy. I saw the really stupid main event with Jalen Brunson and Seth Rollins and Tyrese Halliburton and Roman Reigns, which really did nothing to advance the feud. It was just kind of there. They did that purely because it was in Madison Square Garden. I did not watch JD McDonough versus Danhausen. I wish I had been able to watch Bayley versus Lyra Valkyria, but I have since gone back and watched that match. And I know that Fatal Influence, or what? Yeah, that's what they're called, right?
Correct.
They are the new women's tag team champions, which thank God, because maybe we can actually get some decent matches in the women's tag team division now.
Yeah, remember like 6 months ago when the women's tag team division was on fire and then they decided we don't want it to be on fire anymore randomly?
Yep. And with Bayley losing and getting absolutely brutalized by Lyra, that's just fueling even more speculation that she's not renewing her contract and she's coming over to AEW. Whether that turns out to be true or not, I don't know.
I think it could, but I don't think that means that was her last match. I'll say it both ways.
So, again, my thing with that is I wish they had not done the first match at Saturday night's main event. I wanted them to keep the story going and do the big first match at SummerSlam. I guess you can do the rematch there if you really want to. But you only have really less than a week to build it because SummerSlam.
I thought being in MSG was a good test for Lyra's first match as a heel. And I thought she knocked it out of the park with absolutely living colors. I didn't know how it was going to go. I thought she looked really good in her presentation, as I said before the match, but I wanted to see how it worked in the ring. And Lyra and Bayley absolutely killed it. And maybe the blood spot where it looked like Lyra actually maybe broke her nose. Maybe it added more to the fight. But Lyra took it like a champ. They didn't stop the match. It worked right through. It played into the story. I thought it was actually the best match of the night, even more so than the tag team match.
I know the camera had to cut away a couple times. And the match felt a bit clunky because, like, it felt like they had to stop things to take care of the blood.
And did, but it almost Bayley and her almost turned that into a real fight, which I like matches that feel like they're going to turn into a fight.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like the blood and stuff was bad for the match, but I'm saying them having to stop what they were doing so they could clean up the blood a little bit. It made it feel a little bit clunky, and it felt like the match at times lost the rhythm. That's more of what I'm getting at.
No, I agree with that. I sort of felt that same way about the tag team match at the end. You know, I would have rather, again, I will reiterate, I'd rather had Nick Aldis screw Gunther out of a rematch one-on-one with Punk than doing it here in the tag team match. And I don't like the fact that Gunther did take the fall, because I think Gunther taking falls should be protected. You know, this is only, his 7th main roster loss, or maybe it's more now at this point that Cody's beaten him X amount of times since they started their feud. But obviously, we knew where they were going with it. We know it's going to be CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. We know it's going to be Gunther against Nick Aldis. It makes me really wonder what they're going to do with Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you run back Sami Zayn as a special guest referee again. Does Sami get involved in the match? You know, there is that elephant in the room of there is a certain Viper who at some point is going to have to come back. We have not seen him since literally WrestleMania Saturday. So I'm interested to see where they go with this WWE title run. And by the way, CM Punk he's not a heel in this situation, but he's acting more of a heel than Cody is.
Which they're not going to have a lot of time to build that feud because SummerSlam is literally next weekend.
Well, I don't, and that makes part of me believes is why they're not going to want time to build this feud, because I don't think this is the last match between the two, right? I mean, I think you could do a scenario where you sort of have this match where it's good guy versus good guy, and maybe somewhere along the line, Punk does sort of a more fledged out heel turn the way Sami Zayn has done, and you can get back to Punk and Cody down the line.
I don't know. That's the problem with playing Saturday night's main event where they did. I feel like it kind of took away from the build to SummerSlam, which honestly, some of these matches just haven't had the strongest build. Like, I feel like Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, that's just kind of in the background. It's just kind of...
It's been a weird build because I thought they were going to do something different with that match to offset it from Night of Champions. There is nothing different about the story of that match going into Night of Champions than there is at SummerSlam.
Yeah. Like, Liv hasn't defended the title at all since winning it at WrestleMania. It feels like she's been involved in other stuff, so I don't know why we put the title on her to begin with. But
Stephanie Valkyrie hasn't been seen since WrestleMania either, and now because of Rhea's injury, they decide to dare I say pull an AEW, which I do not like, and put an interim championship on someone, which they've never done before, and
that's going to be decided in a ladder match.
And to me, why not just make? And I get it. They probably want to get Tiffany Stratton on the card because she's from Minneapolis. Why not put her in a women's U.S. championship feud then? And why not do Charlotte and Jade one-on-one for a vacant championship and strip Rhea the title? I don't like the interim tag. I think it's stupid. I even think it's stupid when they do it in real fighting in the UFC. It makes no sense to me to tag an interim champion when you can just strip the guy of the title, and when he comes back, he gets a title match. It's that, to me, it's the same thing.
I don't always understand it either.
And they're like, well, Rhea could be out 3 weeks or she could be out 3 months. Well, strip the title off her. If she's out 3 weeks, she comes back, she can win the title right back. John Cena has 16 world title reigns. What, are you afraid she's going to get to Charlotte's record and break it?
I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know about that. I don't.
WWE's in a weird spot right now. Like, the thing I'm most invested in is this LA Knight, Royce Keys, Solo Sikoa versus Gigapatu and the Usos, which, can we get LA Knight away from the bloodline? This is basically the same match he was involved in at WrestleMania.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I think all roads are leading to LA Knight going one-on-one with Roman Reigns after SummerSlam. I think Roman's going to beat Seth, and his next feud, I believe, will be LA Knight. Maybe at Money in the Bank, maybe at Sunday night's main event in Atlanta. I don't know where they'll do it at. But to me, the logical thing, because I thought that you could have ran LA Knight Roman Reigns at SummerSlam if you really wanted to. LA Knight's been talking all this crap about the bloodline. It's got to lead to him having one more match with Roman and Roman beating him clean with no bloodline interference.
Yeah, I guess. And hopefully this face turn by Solo Sikoa is real, because I'm liking this new version of Solo, but my guess is that it's not.
Well, I'll go back to, again, I think one of the sort of weird things, and AEW does it too, it's more of a wrestling thing now, but WWE is really leaning into it because it's the same thing for Roman and Seth and for Cody and Punk. There's not definitive heels and faces anymore. And I think that's what makes it really hard to get a good build for a match because, even for like Owen Brock, it's going to be great. It's Hell in a Cell. But people cheer Brock Lesnar. People love Oba Femi, but they love Brock Lesnar too. Like, that's what made John Cena versus Gunther, John Cena's last match, feel so special. Is because Gunther, whether you think it was the right decision for him to do it or not, was really a heel and was a guy that you can boo and the fans can get behind, a super baby face in John Cena. And the same worked when Logan Paul was a heel and they did their match at Clash in Paris. Like, when you have the best wrestling, that's why Cody and Rowan worked for the last 2 years, WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40. The best wrestling, I believe, is when you have a baby face chasing a dastardly heel.
Yeah. Like Oba versus Brock. I didn't need the second match. I don't need this Hell in a Cell match. Like, Oba squished Brock and then Brock retired, which it sounds like that was truly legit. Because from what I heard, like on WWE Unreal, like
cannot wait to watch season 3. I cannot wait to watch season 3.
I might get into it and watch it. Which, by the way, I heard that it was Triple H's call to bring Pat McAfee into the Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton stuff, so that Cody could become more likable, and Randy and Pat would be more dislikable or hated.
I personally think that is a cover up for TKO. I do find it interesting that it looks like that John Cena said that he knew he was wrestling Gunther before he even knew he was wrestling Brock.
Which I still don't get why they had Brock squish Cena at WrestlePalooza.
Because Brock is Cena. Technically, Brock was Cena's rival he can never beat.
So, I don't know. It's WWE's in a weird spot going into SummerSlam.
I think that a lot of the writers that have been there for a long time, and I'm talking like under the old regime, I think are starting to go back to the old regime way of doing things.
Like, there's been no build really for Penta versus Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship, but they're going to have that match. Again, we talked about it. Io versus Liv. It's just kind of there. They just announced last night Danhausen versus Dominic Mysterio at SummerSlam. Roman wasn't on the show again last night. The only match that they really promoted for SummerSlam last night was the 6-man tag.
And with that, it's a good transition over to what is being promoted for this weekend, because All Elite Wrestling presents its Redemption pay-per-view.
Yes, this is the first time ever AEW is putting on this pay-per-view. It will emanate from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, home of the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of people, including myself, thought this is where they were going to do the MJF versus Kenny Omega world title match, and that's why it was called Redemption, so that Kenny could win the title back in Canada. But obviously that didn't end up happening. So instead, Kenny will be defending his title in the main event against the current TNT champion, Kevin Knight. Which is Kevin Knight still going to be the TNT champion going into that match? Because he is facing Darby Allin for the title tomorrow night on Dynamite in Nashville. We also have, for the Women's World Championship, Tekla versus Willow Nightingale. The winner of that match is going to face Mercedes Moné at All In Wembley Stadium. My guess is it's going to be Willow, because AEW has done Willow versus Mercedes Moné multiple times. I would much rather see Tekla versus Mercedes. I think the feud between them would be way better. And it's a match we haven't seen yet. So why not? We also have for the tag team championships, Claudio Castagnoli and Pac of the Death Riders challenging Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. This is because Adam Copeland and Christian Cage have been heavily involved with the Death Riders and the Dogs, David Finlay and Clark Connors. So that's a whole dynamic. They just defeated Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia for the tag team titles on last week's episode of Dynamite. So they want to take care of the other parts of the Death Riders, except for Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay, who are going to be involved in what I believe is going to be a match of the year candidate against the Young Bucks. My God, whenever Will Ospreay faces the Young Bucks, it's a match of the year contender.
There's going to be 30 super kicks and 20 thumbtack spots, and then they'll kick out at one. Everyone's say 5.5-star match.
It's not, well, there won't be any thumbtacks.
Oh, they'll find a way. It's a Moxley match. Will be bleeding in 10 seconds.
But, God, the Ospreay and Swerve against the Young Bucks last year at All In, that was my match of the year. It was unbelievable. I probably have gone back and watched that match at least 10 times, if not more. It was that good.
I need to go back and watch that match now so I can understand why this match is so good that you went back and watched it 10 times.
It's that damn good. We have Kyle Fletcher versus Bandito, who is the Ring of Honor Men's World Champion. Bandito is challenging Kyle Fletcher for the AEW International Championship. Hikaru Shida is defending the TBS Championship against Maya World. Which
Jesus Christ, how many matches are on this show?
Mark Davis is defending the National Championship against Andrade El Idolo. You have the Painmaker, Chris Jericho, taking on Tommaso Ciampa. No holds barred. And, like I said, Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks. So that's your whole redemption card.
9 matches right now. There'll probably be 2 or 3 additional items at the pre-show, which means you better get some coffee because you're going to be up late.